MZTV.
Well, when I have surprise guests for the show, I usually like to keep it a secret. You know, it's like I like to talk like it's a regular show, and then I just ease the camera over and you see who my special guests are. But I don't think I've ever had two other people at the same time, in the same studio. So we have the wide angle here because I want you to see these people in all their glorious effulgence of spirituality. This is Martin Zender. I'm going to introduce you to these folks very soon. You're at MZTV. The whole idea here is to study the scriptures, to believe what God says, and then well, that's it. I mean, God loves to be believed. He loves it when we believe the outrageous things he says about us. I mean, he says some outrageous things about us. Yeah. Seated among the celestials in Christ, designated beforehand, perched for great glory, members of the body of Christ. And it's so outrageous. We were talking about this yesterday. It was so outrageous that it's hard to believe what God says. No human could make this up. At the table with me today here in Fort Lauderdale, I have Johnny Greene from Ocala, Florida, but originally from Ohio, my home state. And we have his lovely daughter, Kaitlin, here.
It's really
was
good.
Was the adjective appropriate?
It was.
Okay,
yes,
thank you. I know everybody out there, I always tell my audience this, everybody out there is so lonely, you're all isolated. And the biggest complaint, as I always say, the biggest complaint of the body of Christ is that there's nobody to fellowship with. Right. So when these two said, we want to come visit you and fellowship, you know me, I can't say no. I invite you. I put out the invitation for believers to come here and fellowship. You always run the risk, and you knew this coming in. Yes. You run the risk that you're going to be on an episode of MZTV. Well, you, sir, are the patriarch. So I'm going to start with you. It took a succession of events, like every event in life, to bring you to here, to this understanding, not just to this table, but to the understanding of the truth. So, Johnny, tell me a little bit about your path. I assumed you started in organized religion like everybody else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I come from generations of Pentecostals. So
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, me too. But no, I grew up in the church, crawled under the pews. Every time the doors were open, I was forced to be there. So I grew up in that. And then, you know, when you get involved in that and you start listening to their teachings, it's like, you know, you just, even though it doesn't make sense, you kind of just give into it that that's the truth. But it creates a spider web in your mind. Like it's like scrambling eggs because the gospels are blended and blurred when they shouldn't be. So anyway, I grew up in the Christian church, got out of church probably in my mid-20s because a lot of teachings never sat right with me. And so I was like, as I went on in life, the more I just kind of like lost any zest for Christianity just because the teachings just didn't jive with what I felt.
Right.
So I got out, and then once I got out of church, my mind started opening up to, you know, like different things, how good it felt to be free, because I felt like I was free being out of church.
Yes.
And then, you know, further along, when I first heard the message of Paul's gospel, is I had this guy that I followed on Facebook, and he was a lead singer to a group I used to listen to, a Christian group.
Right.
And he started talking on his Facebook page about no hell, about salvation of all, and I was like, you know, oh my God, why did I friend request this guy? You know, just because I was still captured in that teaching of Christianity. And so but it intrigued me. There was something that registered in me. So I was like, I just kept listening. And then one day he popped one of your videos on, and I was like, looked at the picture. I was like,
oh boy,
that's interesting.
Oh boy.
Let me click on it. And because I think it was the 99.999%.
99.999%. Yeah. Jesus does 99.9999%, but you do only 0.01%, but your 0.0001 is the most important part of the whole thing.
Exactly. And that made so much sense to me. I was like, I cannot argue with this guy. As crazy as, it looks when you look at Christianity.
As crazy as it looks? Wait a minute. How am I supposed to take that?
Well, Christianity's all polished and perfect and
Yes.
everything, and like it has to be a big production set.
Yes, that's right.
So I'm watching this guy sit at his kitchen table with some coffee beans and stuff and talking about like this evangel I've never heard of. I'm like, this guy's nuts.
Doesn't everyone use coffee beans to illustrate the salvation of
They're
all?
like, this guy's nuts, but you intrigued me to and
I
again
love
the
that.
message
I love
intrigued me. So I just started digging in. I started watching all your videos to the point that at some point I was like, I believe this. I cannot not believe this because the facts are there, the scriptures are there, and it feels right.
Yeah, you can't unsee it. But God had really put that investigative spirit in you
Oh yeah.
early. I mean, so you were geared for that day
believe
to
it.
happen,
Yep.
right? I mean, look at you. You're a super cool guy. And you got the fedora rocking, and you got the ink on the arm here, and so there's a lot of seriously, there's a lot of Christians who would anything that goes out of their comfort zone. It's like, oh, those people are a little edgy. Those people are a little worldly, and yet we're the ones that can think clearly. And again, it's a gift of God.
Well,
but
we look like the idiots.
we look like the idiots, but then. As you say, we're broadcasting from a kitchen table, although I think the lighting is pretty impressive. I mean, this might take us to the next level. Kaitlin,
Yes, Martin.
you are the daughter of this man, and
Proudly.
probably. We haven't done
proudly.
the testing yet. But, I think so.
Probably. Proudly.
All right. We'll recalibrate things here, but tell us how your life was, because I already know the story, but for the sake of our audience who's dying to hear every detail, you're new to this. You just heard it recently from your father, which to me, I have to say this.
Sure.
Excuse me while I take the microwave from it. I'm so happy that you just rarely see a father-daughter. You know how rare it is, folks. You know how rare it is to have family members. Usually your family members are shunning you, and you tell them the truth, and they blow up, they can't handle it. But to find a father, this is the closest father and daughter relationship I've ever seen. I've spent 2 days with these people. And I can tell you that I've never seen more spiritual fellowship, more camaraderie. They like each other. And so when your dad started talking about these things, was there any resistance on your part? That's the first question I want to ask you. And then, what was your life like before your dad told you about these things?
So there was no question in my mind. I instantly believed him because he's always taught me things. So anytime I had any kind of questions, I would ask him, and I would instantly be relieved because I would feel like I had the answer. So there was no hesitation at all, and I took it openly. Yeah, no, that was wrong. Openly. So yeah, because and honestly, before my hearing the message, my life was going a little rough. It was going downhill a little bit. My brother passed away in November, so that hit me hard.
How old was he?
He was only 27, and so that hit me hard. And
Well, you told me he was your best friend.
he was, yeah, he was my best friend. We were so close growing up. We were always together, so we had the same friends, and we were in the same grade because he got held back a year, so it worked out. And so yeah, after he passed, I was just kind of going downhill. I went through a rough time. I totaled a vehicle. Was questioning my purpose in life, wondering why I was even here. And so when my dad told me the message and I started watching you with him, I instantly opened up to it, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, and I physically felt that happen.
Yeah, you said that.
I felt it.
You physically felt something change.
Yeah, and now everything's different. I see everything differently, just life, and I don't fully understand because we can't.
None of us do.
So the understanding that I have is peaceful. It gives me peace. So I don't regret anything in my life anymore. I used to have regrets and wonder why I didn't.
That's huge.
Yeah,
no regrets.
I always thought, what if I did this differently, or what if I did that differently? Why did I have to do this? Why am I like this, basically? But now I understand, and I'm proud of who I am because I trust God.
That is beautiful when you say you're proud of who you are. That takes faith too, because we all have things in the past or things that would cause us anguish. Paul says in 1 Timothy chapter 1, he tells Timothy that I live with a clean conscience before God. And the first time I read that, I'm like, wait a minute, isn't this the guy that used to kill people? Isn't this the guy that used to go in the homes, drag people out and have them beaten and have them killed and cause them to blaspheme? And this guy says, I'm living my life with a clear conscience before God. There's a man who has grasped the truth of justification.
Right.
Of justification. And then all things become new. And so sometimes it flies in the face of what we see, though. I mean, you look at things and the world's falling apart around us.
It's evident.
Yeah, but I just want you to give a little more on that piece. Like, contrast it with what went before. And, I mean, how does it affect you in practical life? I mean, the way you sleep, the way you act, the way you look at other people.
Right. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, like, I was always like, again, why does God do bad things? My brother passed away. I didn't understand. I don't understand, like, just really why I have to feel lonely all the time. So the questions that I had, and now understanding that there's a bigger purpose, and the purpose is beautiful. So I can't be angry with God for doing bad things, but and so I'm conflicting with myself because they're not bad.
Yeah, they're not.
But they are.
Yeah,
but
relatively they're bad, but absolutely
they're not. And
they're not bad. It's the fact of seeing everything working out. You have to know the end of the story before you can justify all the stuff that happens to get there.
Yes,
temporary
absolutely.
Things along the way.
So it makes sense in everything that has happened in my life and everyone's life, every detail. It's all led up to where we are today and where we're going to be. And so I think in my head that this is going to be okay because I'm not going to always be here. It's temporary. And when I see bad things happen, of course it hurts. We're human. We have emotions.
Of course,
but I have a better understanding, and I don't resent God at all. Or
that's
anything.
it. No, that's beautiful. I think it's in Hebrews, Paul says concerning Christ, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're still in flesh and blood. We're still enduring crosses, but we have something in front of us that we grasp by the Spirit of God. But it's not like it's not written. It is in here. Paul does say that the dead in Christ shall rise first. Thereupon we who are alive remain to the coming of the Lord will be snatched away together with them in the clouds. People say, Martin, what do you think that verse means? What do you think it means, Martin? I think it means what it says.
Yeah.
And Paul has never spoke, in my opinion. I often get angry at Paul for being so convoluted, and the man never met a comma in his life that he liked. But here he's so plain, and he's telling us something, and it's remarkable to witness the faith that believes that. Mm-hmm. It's so powerful. Yeah. So the first thing you wanted to do, because you're an outgoing, gregarious guy, you claim to be shy, but I don't know.
I'm shy, like around new people. I'm shy.
Okay, but the first, to me, I found this out when I was doing the Romans series on the ZWTF. It seems like there's so much feigned faith out there. Mm-hmm. There's so many people that look like they're believing. Well, the whole Christian religion is like that. And when I went to Romans 10, I never understood if you confess with your mouth, you will be being saved. I thought, what is this, some kind of formula? Like you're not saved unless you say something? What if you don't have a mouth,
Right.
I ask these crazy practical questions.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, what if you don't have a mouth? Then you can't be saved. Mm-hmm. But then I realized the import of it was the first thing you want to do is share this.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to know from you what, because you shared this with your family. I mean, you uncorked, man.
Yeah, everybody.
You uncorked. You shared this with your daughter, with your wife, with your son. So tell me what happened then.
Well, it was so liberating to me. Like, again, I grew up in a Christian church, which a lot of people have. And you're so overwhelmed with guilt for everything in Christianity. So as soon as you learn this reality and you learn about the true God and the true Savior, it's like, and that God is actually love, and that God did actually save everybody. Like, Christians love to use Paul's writings. They love to say God's the Savior of all mankind, and that he did a complete work, but they don't believe it. They absolutely don't believe
Absolutely
it. It's
don't.
up to you. It's like the 99.999% syndrome. The little little tiny little microscopic part that's yours is the most important.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that part, you're going to hell for eternity. So when I learned that reality, that God is the Savior of all mankind, especially believers, and that, you know, that He actually loves people, you know, it was so freeing. I was like, I've got to tell everybody this. Everybody's going to love this truth. And as soon as I tell somebody, it's like looking at somebody deer in the headlights, like they're looking at me like I've got 12 heads or something. I'm like, what's wrong? I mean, this is great news.
And of course, naturally, naturally, the first people you want to tell is your family.
Family, and I did, and all my family, like I said, I come from generations of Pentecostals, so when I'm talking to them, I might as well just be talking to a wall, because that's what I'm dealing with. So nobody wanted to hear it, and I got this.
What a shock!
I was shocked. I was like, man, how am I just like off my rocker here? Like, am I just reading this wrong? I mean, because it's the truth. But, you know, and then I started to tell them, you know, of course, my kids, and thank God, my oldest son believes, and he is like, Dad, when we would go to church, he said, I could never imagine God, the way he felt about God, doing that to the vast majority of his creation. He's like, I get that, Dad, I get it. And then I told Kaitlin, and she was like right on board with it, and I was like, oh, that's all I cared about. And my wife.
Yeah.
And my wife.
Yes.
I told her, and we started watching you at the same time.
You told me you started like
10 years ago. I've been watching
I was
you.
shocked because I never really heard from you.
I can almost memorize your videos.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's so funny because they quote stuff from some of my shows that I've forgotten, or they talk about screwy things that I did, which is every other show, that I've forgotten about. It's so funny to hear that back to me. That
we just laugh about it.
Entertained by what was the one I did something about the New Jerusalem coming down from heaven, and I was using some lights or something.
Yeah.
What was so funny about that one?
You had like a vase, and you had like some little cheap lights on it, and it was just like, and you said that it was going to look like this and sound like this, and you did some sound effects, and I'm not going to do that to myself, but it was pretty hilarious.
And then he was saying, he was describing New Jerusalem as beautiful as it's going to be. He's like, it's nothing in comparison to what we're going to. And he's like, it'll have rubies on it. And it's like, rubies, emeralds, diamonds, trinkets. And like me and Kaitlin look at each other and we like belly laughing. So,
that's just always great to hear.
It's wonderful.
yeah.
So I mean, you got no resistance from Kaitlin. You got no resistance from your wife. But didn't they go through the same religious background you did?
Yeah, all my kids grew up. I mean, I up until, like I said, like my mid-20s, I finally had enough with church, and me and my family, we just got out of it. And so from that point, they were young, you know, but religiously, they were in church, they were in the Sunday school. So they grew up for, you know, up until maybe their early teens in that. So they had that understanding, but it was just like me, is like when you're presented with it, if you're designated to be a believer, if you've been given that faith, it resonates with you.
Yeah.
So that's why most people won't believe, because they've not been given that faith, and the wiring in their brain from Christianity is so messed up that they can't figure it. They can't even just look at something so simple.
Right.
As simple as Paul's gospel is really one of the most simply spelled out
Yes.
that there are in scriptures, because there's no law confusing it all, but people can't see it as easy as it is because they haven't been given that faith.
You know, you've really passed along. I mean, I don't know your other son, but you've really passed along genetically, I think, or the way you raised your family, that independent spirit, that you just like, you don't care what anybody else thinks, because we're swimming upstream, right? Hardly anybody on the planet believes what we do. Was that, Kaitlin, was that ever a problem to you, that you suddenly started walking against the stream, going against the grain, or do you relish going against
there was a show you did that said we're supposed to be able to identify unbelievers, and when I started telling, like, I tried to tell my mom, and she blew it off, and I tried to tell, like, you know, a few other people I was close to, and it's just the same reaction that you guys get too, and it was crazy. At first it kind of hurt my feelings, like it upset me, just because I wanted them to believe.
It hurts.
I thought that they would, because it's right there, and you get that look where they think you're insane, and it's hurtful.
It is.
But it's okay. It doesn't bother me now. I like to walk against the crowd. I'd rather.
Yeah.
I'd rather not have anything on earth and have everything.
Well, I think you understand that's basically the scriptural precedent is the truth is always despised. And I mean, Jesus himself, his own literal flesh brothers didn't believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
They grew up with the Messiah of Israel. They grew
That's
up with the
crazy.
Son of God. And they saw him taking out the trash and, and they probably think, he was so hidden when he was on earth, right? Christ was. And so are we.
Right.
We are so hidden.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I like about these two, I've been with them for 2 days now, and we've had tremendous fellowship, is that they're comfortable being themselves.
Mm.
And I always say, flawed by design. I'm not implying that any of us here at this table are flawed. I'm not saying.
I was gonna say,
Please
Mark,
don't get the impression that we're flawed here. Please don't get the impression. But people almost resent it when you are comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you're extremely comfortable with yourself, but people resent, like, how can you be so accepting of yourself? So few people accept themselves, and they feel they have to change, but according to Christianity, you better change,
Yeah.
turn or burn, right?
Right.
So can you just explain, briefly how that independence feels?
Well, like you were getting at, I don't think anyone should be condemned for loving yourself. How could you not love yourself? God created you in his image, and he created you the way he wanted you to be. And it's beautiful in that, because you didn't do anything to be you. So you can kind of, at this point, see yourself in a different perspective, from God's perspective. I see the
Beautiful.
way God loves me, and I love me for that. So
I couldn't have said it better. Damn it, I couldn't have said that better. No, very nice. Now, this gentleman here, he's not content. Obviously, he can't. He just is a man that overflowing with this and wants to get it out. I didn't know till yesterday that you had a TikTok
I do.
channel.
I do.
And TikTok is really, I haven't never tapped this outlet, but I think it's really great because it's short bits, and short and sweet. And this man is a presence on TikTok, heralding the evangel fearlessly with the fedora,
Yeah.
which is very intimidating. And so, tell me a little bit, Johnny, about how you came to be inspired to start that thing. You were a little nervous at first because
yeah.
I guess you're not a professional broadcaster
I've
before this?
I've never done it before in my life, but Kaitlin, my daughter, she was on TikTok first, and she's like, "Yeah, just need to start making some funny videos or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, I will." Never got around to it, and I'm like, and it's like a fire burning inside. I just want to tell everybody about it. So I'm like, so it's kind of like depressed because everybody I've told about it don't want to hear about it, and I don't know nobody else. I'm like, well, I can't herald the news if I don't know people. So I was like, I'm going to try TikTok. So I got on there and I figured out how to turn the camera on and do all that stuff. And I made a video, like a 15 or 30 second video. And it was actually like, I was like, no, that's kind of cool. Well, I look cool, I was like, the message getting out there.
Yeah, that's an accepting way I made it so great.
And so I was like, this is awesome. So like that was in July, and since July I've made over 200 videos now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
200
Yeah.
since July.
Yeah.
Quickly.
And I'm
Very
getting a
quickly.
little following going on. So,
You
but
do.
it's
How many
awesome.
followers do you have?
A little, 270.
That's good. Well, what do you mean a little?
Yeah,
That's probably how many members of the body of Christ are on the planet. You're feeding all the members of the body of Christ.
But
270.
TikTok's awesome because it's for somebody just starting out, and that's if you're just starting out and you want to herald the message, TikTok's a great time because you don't have to like be a studied teacher. You can just like whatever resonates when you just read the scripture and say, I love this part, and just take a 3-minute video of what you really love and that what you just read and just put it out there. And that's, I kind of look at myself like, of course Martin's been doing this for decades now, so he's the teacher. I just feel like what I do is kind of like, I like to get out there and kind of shock people with, about hell and about the salvation of all and make it entertaining. But I like planting seeds, just like throwing seeds out there. And if people gobble it up, then there's better teachers than me that I can then turn them to go deeper into it,
Yeah, and that format is perfect for that. I'm going to put Johnny Greene's link to TikTok down here, and I'd like everybody watching this show to subscribe to his channel, because I mean, my stuff, I get into details, and it's not like you're not studied. It's just that you take one nugget, one kernel, and then boom, you just put it out there. And it's a lot easier for people to swallow. My stuff, people look at a 25-minute video and they go, oh my God, except for you two. No. Kaitlin told me that, oh, when I see a 25-minute video, I'm so excited. I said, are you serious?
Yeah, well,
That's 'cause
you
you're
speak
hardcore.
on the topic, and I want more on that topic, and I love it. I love your speaking and your talking and what you teach about, so I love it. I love everything about it.
Thanks. I just asked you that
can't get
so I could hear that.
I know.
Yeah, thank you.
Can't get enough.
All right, so I'm going to put that link at the bottom. That's easier than you trying to explain the link, right?
Yeah, my profile name is Son of Thunder 7, which is SONO, the word thunder and the number 7.
SON, like Son of Thunder. You're not Son of Thunder, you're Son of Thunder.
Son of Thunder minus the F.
Okay, Son of Thunder
7 minus
7
the F.
minus the F. You go to TikTok. If you haven't downloaded TikTok, do so now.
Mm-hmm.
And you will be able, and it's good, I think, for introducing people, because they're quick, they're hard hitting, and you got a cool background, you got cool music, and the fedora is cool. And so, listen, I am thankful that you guys came here. It's hard to travel in this eon, and you guys took a lot of trouble to get here, and it's not
Well worth it.
I've been so happy to fellowship with these folks. And now, everybody watching MZTV around the world knows that there are 2 other believers on the planet who, in spite of everything they see, yet trust in God. Though he slay me, yet I will trust in him. So we'll see you next time on the same side of the peninsula. But you live on the other side of the peninsula. You live in the middle of the state. So we got the whole state of Florida covered.
Right.
So think about it. You're on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. I'm on the East Coast, and you're right in the middle, sweltering with no breeze.
Yeah.
It's tactical. It's tactical. We have a plan here. We're going to take over the world. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and more good news tomorrow.